All right, appreciate it, Ross. Good morning. We are rolling along. It's hard to believe it's already week 3, and excited about the challenge this week, taking this team on the road. Obviously, we've not done that yet. We've had two good opponents here in the Valley, and excited about how our team has improved at this point. We still got a long way to go. But definitely off to a good start. We're 2-0. That's where we wanted to be. But got a lot of improving to do if we're going to get where we want to get to. And the next goal for us is to win the division. And so that starts this week. First division game for us on the road at a place where we lost 2 years ago. Great environment. They do an awesome job up there. And we're going to have to play well. Simple as that. Got a lot of respect for Syracuse. They beat us 2 years ago, and then last year, had us on the mat for a 2 count, and we were able to get up and find a way to win the game. Very fortunate. So got a lot of respect for Syracuse. Our team has a lot of respect for Syracuse. Dino's done a great job up there, and we're very well aware of the type of effort and energy and toughness that we will face in this Syracuse team. No, last week's game got away from them, but that won't be the version of Syracuse that we'll see. So we're excited about the challenge. Again, it's the next step for us. If we're going to be a great team, then you got to be able to win on the road. And it takes mental toughness. It takes maturity. It takes a lot of discipline and focus and communication to be able to execute offensively, especially. Defensively, it's quiet. So it's a different deal when they go on the road. The defense kind of, I think, takes that energy, and it's always different on the road. So just maturity and mental toughness to go and really execute at a high level in a tough environment. That's what we're looking for this week. But they got a good team. Obviously, their quarterback is a veteran guy. He's been around. He knows their system. He's athletic. He can throw the football. He's confident. He's got good size. They've rotated 3 backs in there. All of them can make plays. Got good receivers. 86 has made a couple of the big plays early, and then defensively, 2 All-American ends that are going to play on Sunday, no doubt about it. A couple All-American candidates in the secondary. They've had one of their better D tackles has been out. Not sure if he's going to play or not this week. But it's going to be a tough matchup. Simple as that. This is a division game, and everybody knows what's at stake. We know a lot about them. They know a lot about us. So it comes down to execution and again, in a tough environment. So looking forward to heading up there. We're healthy. We're in a good place, and guys are excited about continuing to get better. Any questions?
Coach, the tempo with which Syracuse plays on offense, how much of a challenge will that be for the young guys up front like Tyler Davis?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're a tempo offense too, so we practice that way every day, and so it's something that he's used to. It's not going to catch him off guard, but the first couple games they've really slowed it down more than they've tempoed. I think that they've looked to the sideline a lot, and just kind of pick their spots. They have some fire plays, and all of a sudden where they go really fast, but they have not been lightning quick. They play fast, they play with tempo, but very similar to what we do.
Coach, what do you see in Tommy DeVito compared to what they had last year in quarterback?
Well, they're very similar. They're both savvy, both great leaders, both tough, both are athletic and can run the ball, both can push the ball down the field. And the staff has a lot of confidence in them. The team has confidence in both these guys. So a lot of similarities. Maybe not quite as big as Dungey, but still he's not a little guy. He's got good size on him.
Is Amari full go now in practice, and do you expect his reps to keep growing?
Yeah, he's been full go. We wouldn't have played him if he wasn't been full go. So no, we're not been holding him back. He played 30-something plays last week, so he played about as much as anybody, and it was good to see him get out there and get going. But again, he is still that's his first scrimmage situation since he got hurt. So still working his way into true game shape football game shape, but it was good to see him get knocked around. Got hit a couple times, a couple catches, and just kind of getting in the rhythm a little bit of the game. But he's been released and good to go.
Coach, I know you don't have a lot of time to listen to what other coaches say leading up to the game, but Dino yesterday likened the way you protect Trevor Lawrence to the Game of Thrones. You have a castle, a moat, and then some dragons that the dude's protected. Just curious what your thoughts are from Dino's comments on that.
Oh, I think that's just classic Dino right there. I think he's got respect for our team, and I don't know anything about the Game of Thrones, so I don't know what all that stuff means. But we try to do a good job of protecting him and try to put playmakers around him, in the offensive line, and tight ends, running backs, receivers. So that's definitely something that we try to do. But we had a lot of them same dudes a couple years ago too when we got beat, and so I don't buy any of that stuff.
Amari said one thing that sticks out about the last trip to Syracuse is just how loud it was in the environment, maybe louder than they were expected. I guess what is it about that place that makes it so tough to play?
Well, I mean, it's a confined space, and so there's an echo, if you will. I mean, it just there's nowhere for the noise to go, so it stays in there, and you let them get it going in there, it'll get rocking. They do a nice job up there, and I think they're expecting one of the biggest crowds they've had in a long time, and I think that's exciting. It's a night game. I think it's ABC, so we kind of got a national audience, and so everybody wants to put their best foot forward, and that includes the fans. So the fans will show up, and they'll do an awesome job there. They always do.
Last time you went there, we got this roster being 80% sophomores and freshmen. What do you tell those guys going in? They went there 2 years ago.
We'll talk a lot about. We kind of have some things that I like to talk about leading up to our first road game, thoughts, reminders, tips, if you will, that I talk about every year, regardless of the makeup of our team, because I think it's important to revisit those things. But at the end of the day, if you're a good player, you're a good player wherever you are. At home, if you're only a good player at home, you ain't a good player. You're an average player because you're a 50-50 guy. So I don't really make a big deal out of all that stuff. I mean, I love going on the road. I think it's just it's a different way of at home it's easy because it's just like a natural energy from an inside out standpoint. But on the road, you've got to change that around. You got to make sure you draw from that energy. You don't let it drain you. You let it increase your energy and tap into that energy of the crowd, even though it may be pulling against you. You don't have to know that. So it's exciting about playing ball on the road. I love it. I've always loved that. Going on the road, play basketball, where everybody's on top of you. And I just think it takes a certain mindset. And, again, mental toughness and great coordination and communication. There's just something exciting about it. We can only have 72 guys travel. We've got 120 on the roster, so we got a lot of guys that don't get to go. It's just kind of like, all right, this is what we got. Let's go. And everybody's against you, and I think it's fun.
Does all that noise impact the way you guys communicate? Is that something you're going to talk about as well? Make sure everyone's
Sure,
on the
sure, absolutely. It can definitely impact the way you communicate because, at home, our defense has to deal with it every week at home because that's when our crowd is the loudest, is when we're on defense. And so we have to communicate and be able to function, whereas offense, we can do what we need to do. But it definitely can impact you if you don't prepare properly, if you're not locked in, if, again, you don't have the discipline and mental toughness and just truly the focus to block all that stuff out. Again, if the external factors determine your performance, you're probably not going to be a very good player or a very consistent player because you don't control the external factors, good or bad. So just be locked in on what you've got to do. Every player, every position has a process, play in and play out on what they should be doing, and that's all. You just got to stay focused on that. But from a communication standpoint, it's something you've got to work on all week, and you got to prepare your guys with your cadence, with how we're going to communicate, whether it be hand signals or whatever it may be. So we'll do that. I mean, we're fortunate we've got an indoor here, and we try to make it unrealistic, to be honest with you, because we feel like if we can function in practice, then we'll be able to execute on game day.
You guys pride yourself on consistency, but the last couple of years, whether it's NC State or Notre Dame, Alabama, even last week, you had the leave no doubt mantra where you felt like the previous time, time or two that you played those teams, that you left some doubt. What is different about the heightened sensibility of your team, knowing that there was doubt, and now, like, what's that next level for maybe a game like this where you struggled with these guys the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the next level. It's just let's just keep doing what we've been doing, and that's trying to do our very best each week, and we try to dominate the opponent. I mean, it doesn't matter who you play or where you play. They keep score for a reason. Let's try to dominate the opponent and have a killer instinct to our team, and do it for 4 quarters. Let's come out ready. Let's sustain throughout the game, and let's finish. And so we're growing. We're a long way from being where we want to be, but we're growing, and we're coaching, and we're teaching. But certainly last week, those guys had an edge to them, simply because there was a lot of talk during the week. And, and we're like, hey, we better, let's just show up and play here. And I appreciated our guys and how they handled themselves, and they just went and played. But they accepted the challenge. Challenge was made. They accepted the challenge. But the way I look at it, every week there's a challenge, and you either accept it or you don't. You get yourself ready or you don't. You play with toughness and focus and details, with great effort and passion, or you don't. It's a simple game when it comes right down to it. And you win your matchup or you don't. You win at the point of attack or you don't. You're relentless to the ball or you're not. We're just trying to really coach this team and teach this team, what it takes to win consistently, because we have a room full of guys who think they know, but they really don't know. And thankfully, we got a couple of rows full of guys that do know, and they've got a very clear vision, and they're great leaders. So I'm just really pleased with how they've stepped up and performed to this point. But we got a lot to prove every week. We didn't leave any doubt when we went up there 2 years ago. There was no doubt they beat our butt. So
this season, the defense was everybody's question in the media about what was going to happen on the front line. You spoke on the back seven and how confident you were in them. So far, after 2 games, what's the identity you see coming from your defense?
We've played pretty disciplined, and I think we've controlled the line of scrimmage, which is something that we needed to see. We were hopeful, and again, you never really know when you're just going against yourself every day. We got a pretty good offensive line, and so to be able to see our guys go and win the line of scrimmage in the first 2 games is very encouraging. And we got a long way to go. We're not doing everything right. We're making mistakes. We're leaving gaps open. We're too wide, and we should be squeezing. We're squeezing. We should be. Well, we got all kind of things to fix that we haven't quite necessarily gotten exposed for yet. But the physicality, the effort, the tenacity that I've seen defensively is the same as it's always been. Those guys are playing hard. They're playing with pride. But our positioning has been really good through the first 2 games. Very few big plays, very few, plays like you saw last year where we had guys just running wide open in those first, the second game especially, against A&M last year. Guys have made some chunk plays, but positioned well. Sometimes our eyes are on the wrong things, or maybe we take a bad angle or we'll miss a tackle, but we've been positioned well, and the back seven has been outstanding. Outstanding. I felt that coming in. That's why I said that. I still feel that way. I think this is as good a back seven as we've had. Love the guys we got at backer. I like the speed, and then I love our depth in the secondary. We got some guys that can play. A lot of versatility on the back end, and I think you're just going to see that grow because we still got a lot of guys that are still growing into their opportunities, and they're going to get more and more confident as the season goes, and you'll see more of those guys, on the field.
Coach Travis had his best game catching the football on Saturday. He's worked really hard on that. Does it just take this offense to another level when that's a regular viable option?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a problem when the back is a factor in the passing game, because it just, the coverage has to be a little tighter, especially when people are playing coverage. And because, it may look good on the chalkboard and, you've got coverage and you're dropping guys, but we're taking those checkdowns and those backs are available in the passing game, especially when you're getting it to guys like 9 and 23 who can break tackles, who can make people miss in space, and who can go the distance. Puts a lot of pressure. And it opens up things down the field. So absolutely, and when you can get guys out, it puts pressure. So when you feel good about your protection, and that's not just our OL, that's the quarterback too, and everybody being on the same page, and how we point things out, how we communicate, how we redirect protections, and Trevor's done an awesome job. He's just so far along right now from where he was this time last year. Getting those guys out is critical, and then same thing with our backs. There's some times where they should be out, last year where they didn't get out. So them taking ownership and having urgency, and rewarding them when they do, and taking those easy plays, because again, those things, the little things, turns into big things. So it's a definite intentional part of what we want to do. We want to get those guys touches any way we possibly can. So something that we'll continue to stress and work on.
Dabo, when you're trying to drill into the guys that are maybe a little bit lower on the depth chart to always be ready, you never know when your chance is going to come. How often do you draw upon what Chase was able to do stepping in against Syracuse last year?
Not very often, to be honest with you. I mean, it comes up from time to time, but specifically that, not very often. We just talk to everyone about, prepare to be the starter. And if you're not preparing to go play 50 plays, then you're cheating yourself and you're cheating your team, because you never know when your opportunity is going to come. And so we've had lots of guys that have been able to be ready. And, we've got because you just don't know. You don't know. And so everybody's got to be locked in and prepare like they're the guy, whether they play 2 plays or 20 plays or 40 plays. They have to have the mindset that, hey, I gotta own this plan, and because all of a sudden, you get an opportunity, you're not ready for it, you may not get another one. So better to be ready and not get an opportunity, right, than to not be ready and get one. So that's just what we talk about all the time. So just staying locked into the game, mentally repping, staying very engaged, and so boom, all of a sudden your number gets called. You're not cold. You're not trying to figure out. You're not trying to get a feel for the game. You've been playing the game mentally, and we do this, and we talk about that at practice all the time as well. So, just being ready is a huge part of it. And then part of that too is we try to play a lot of guys. We didn't get to play as many guys this past week, but we try to play a lot of people, and so that creates. That's one of the reasons it creates that edge. It creates that. Man, I better be ready. They're going to put me in the game. I got to be ready. And so that's part of why we do what we do.
What's your assessment of how the tight ends have done blocking-wise, both in the
Good.
and the outside?
Yeah, they've done well. I mean, I've been really pleased with JC. I mean, again, for a guy that's getting his really first 2 starts and the most significant playing time of his career, he's done a nice job. Definitely things he can improve and get better, and he will. He's playing himself into that role. He's made a couple nice little grabs, just ball control type stuff that we need from him. And then, Luke's coming there. He's physical. I mean, he smashed the guy down the goal line the other day on the touchdown with Trevor, just created a gap. I mean, he just moved that guy. And so I like his mentality. Davis Allen is a natural physical guy and a guy that's just going to get better and better. And same thing with Jalen. Jalen is, so all 4 of those guys are doing what we need them to do to this point. They all got to get better, but I think we're off to a good start and, where we hope to be after 2 games.
One area it seems you are getting to play some guys is in the O-line. guys like Matt Bockhorst. Talk about his development this year.
Yeah, Bach and Cade, that's kind of our 6 men, if you will. Those guys we trust them. They're going to play a lot of ball. Bockhorst is he's everything you want. He's could start for us today. He's a really good football player. Can do everything. He's just behind John and Gage. 2 senior guys, but we trust Bach. We play him at left, play him at right. He's nasty. He's relentless. He's smart. He's a train wreck. He's just a tough physical guy, and so love what we get, what his game brings to our team, the physicality, and then same thing with Cade. Cade's a really good football player, versatile, can do a lot. He's getting back to full speed with his ankle. And then those other guys. We're excited about Jordan and Blake and Chandler. Putnam's a guy that I think you'll continue to see as we go through the course of the season, try to get him in there a little bit more, and a guy we want to get ready. So right now we kind of got 11 guys that we're really prepping every week and getting ready to play, and I think all those guys can help us.
Tony Elliott described Lyn-J yesterday as a guy that's really, really funny, even when he doesn't know he's being funny or isn't trying to be funny. What's kind of your take on Lyn-J's personality away from the field?
I'd say that's a perfect description. He is. He just kind of cracks you up. He doesn't really mean to. A lot of times I may say something to Lyn-J because everybody in the whole room will start laughing because they love his reaction. And he doesn't even mean to be funny, but he always has the best reactions to things or answers to questions. So we have a lot of fun with Lyn-J. He's a baller and getting better. He's just a much more mature player. He was electric last year. And again, in camp, probably had the most breakaways in our camp. Problem was he wasn't always going in the right direction, but he'd somehow find a way to make a big play. And then, just grew and grew and grew. Had a bunch of veteran guys in front of him last year, but he's, it's showtime now. This is prime time opportunity. He and E.T., man, they got a chance to be a great 1-2 punch, and we need that. Travis can't carry the load. We got a long season ahead, and he's a guy that when you can roll Travis Etienne out and bring in that guy, just like when you take Higgins out and bring in Ngata, it's makes you better. So I'm excited about that combo that we have and just his progression as a complete player. He's done a nice job with his protections. He's picking things up. He picked up a corner cat the other day. He's running with more discipline with the blocking schemes and trust in the blocking schemes. Just has a better understanding of the game, and he's getting the results. So he's a dangerous, explosive football player that can that's going to help us.
Were you at what Maryland was able to do with Syracuse the other day, and does that make your challenge more difficult to get the team focused on the task? Yeah,
I was pretty surprised, but no, on the other part. That doesn't have anything to do with us. Like I said, they won 4 games 2 years ago when they beat us. They were 4-8. So, and we won the national championship last year, and it came down to a 4th and 6. So. I don't think I got to say much to our guys. It doesn't matter what happened last week. It has nothing to do with it. And again, I've been in games like that. Maryland played Howard, 79-0. They don't play, you don't know anything about their personnel. Ran about 4 plays. You got a whole new coaching staff, so you don't have any tape. Then they bring in a bunch of transfers, guys you hadn't seen. You don't know anything about them. All of a sudden, you get in the game, it's on the road, a couple big plays. Next thing you know, the momentum, and it just got away from them, Just got away. We had a couple turnovers and just got away from them. Simple as that. And then by the time they kind of settled in and started moving the ball, the score was just out of control. So now everything's different. So it probably Maryland's better than probably people thought. And then they probably weren't quite as prepared for some of the things that some of the unknowns. And then Maryland made some big plays and the momentum, and it got out of hand. So you just throw it out the window. They're a lot better football team than what they played last week. So that has nothing to do with it. If they had gone and won 59-0, it has nothing to do with it. It's all about this week, and and it's all about Clemson. To be honest with you, we prepare every week. It's just we try to make it all about us. Don't get caught up. If you start getting caught up in those things, what that team did last week or what their record is or all that stuff, you're never going to be consistent as a program. For us, it's about getting better. It's about, winning performances, just playing with excellence and taking pride in your performance and who can perform week in and week out. And that's what we talk about. And if the opponent's good enough to beat us, they beat us. But let's don't let it be because we're, that team got beat bad last week, so I guess we don't have to play hard. Give me a break. That's not our mindset ever. And vice versa. They killed somebody. Oh, God, what are we going to do? We're playing the Cowboys this week. It doesn't matter. Let's just don't make it about that. Let's make it about us, our preparation, and our daily focus, and nothing else.
I know the starting quarterback for Clemson's been knocked out in the past 2 games against them, but what is it that they've done to kind of give you guys a little bit of trouble the last 2 years?
Knocked our quarterback out the past 2 games. I don't know what else to say.
I just mean it as a team. What have they done?
They're a good team. Dungey was a great player. They've had some really weapons. They've been physical in the trenches. They played with great effort. They play with passion. They play with belief. Those are all things created and instilled by Dino. But, when you go on the road and you lose your starting quarterback and you roll a guy out there that hadn't played, and then you're turning it over. We had 3 turnovers last year. I think one of them on the 10-yard line. Well, here we go, boys. Here you go. Go get them, D. Go get them. First of all, you got to not lose to Clemson. You got to take care of because you can't control the things that they control. You got to focus on things you control. And so again, last year you go in and really we had a good flow of the game going, and next thing you know, crazy scramble deal, and Trevor's knocked out, and now your third-team quarterback who hadn't played is running out there, and it's just and it was shaky, and it took a while to kind of settle down. And again, we had 3 turnovers in that game, one of them literally on the 10-yard line. So it starts with that. It starts with doing the things that you need to do to make them have to go the length of the field. Our plan to win. That's what we talk about. Our effort. Our effort's been good, but just not having mental errors. Having more big plays than them, winning the turnover margin, being the least penalized team. Those are the things, so that you can win that field position battle, keep them on a long field. Don't let them have short fields. Make a difference in special teams and stuff. So, that's if you go back and look at it, we've turned it over. And they've done a good job in creating some turnovers, and we've had some mental errors. We've had some busted big plays, and then we've had some plays where we didn't bust. They just flat out made the play. We went up there 2 years ago. We couldn't cover them. We were wide. We were all over them, and they either made the play or we pass interfered the whole game. It was awful, and then our offense couldn't help the defense because we were dysfunctional. And our quarterback got hurt, and we turned it over, and we weren't very good in special teams. We got beat. That's what happens.
Other than his natural ability, what has A.J. Terrell done to develop into a corner with the shutdown half?
He's put the work in. Obviously he's got the natural ability, but he's physically put the work in, and he's mentally put the work in. So he's busted his butt in that weight room. If you go back and look at his picture when he first got here and you look at him now, physically it's just, night and day. So with that strength comes confidence. With experience comes knowledge and confidence. So he's got experience, he's got knowledge, he's got strength. With all that natural skill set, the length, the speed, the quickness, the ability to, flip his hips and all the things that you need to be a good corner, And then probably the biggest thing of all, he's got mindset. He's got the mindset and the heart set to go with the skill set.
Across from him, what has Kendrick done these first 2 games that have impressed you, and what are his best qualities, I guess?
Yeah, I didn't do much in the first game. There wasn't a lot, I mean, there just wasn't much there. He did his job, but I thought he really stepped up this past week. I mean, they went after him, and he was well positioned. He didn't panic. He played with poise. For the most part, he played with pretty good technique. He's physical. I mean, he's got some swag, I mean, if you just wanted to, he's got some swag to him. He brings energy, and he's just confident. He's a confident football player. He knows he can play the game, and he likes to work at it. He likes practice. You can come out and watch. He's always talking at practice. He's just got an energy to him. And again, it's not a false swag or a false confidence or a disrespectful swag. He's just got a swag to him, I mean, he just brings a confidence, and he has mental toughness. He's not a guy that's affected by a play, because when you play corner, that's one of the key ingredients to being a good corner, because you're going to give up some plays from time to time, especially when you're practicing against the guys that he's got to practice against. But his ability to flush that and go on and go back and learn from it and keep getting better is things he brings to the table. But he's thirsty for knowledge. He likes to learn. He likes to be coached. And he's an easy guy to coach, a very, very easy guy to coach, because he's a worker. And I love DK. He's a lot of fun.
You said a few weeks ago that Tony Elliott is really stingy and picky with his scholarship offers. What about his, approach is different when he's looking for these running backs?
Well, I think that's kind of characteristic of all of our staff, to be honest with you, simply because of our philosophy in this program. And they know that when they bring one in here, I better not ever hear you complain about your players. Because this is not a place where, I'm going to fix their mistake. And there's certain expectations that I have with the guys who come through the door. And so the coaches know that. So we don't offer freshmen and sophomores unless it comes from me. If we offer a freshman, a sophomore came from me, I know him. He's been in our camp. I've been around him. I just know a lot about him. This is a developmental game, and I'm always trying to slow it down, number one. So part of it just comes from that general philosophy. I want to get the juniors, the seniors that develop. I want to get those guys, the Kayvon Wallaces, the Nolan Turners, Isaiah Simmons, Trayvon Mullen. I want to get them guys. And so I'm much more, if we take a guy early, it's because, we're all on board. And it's a no-brainer for us to take a guy early. Otherwise, I'm always trying to pump the brakes. I'm always challenging the staff and really trying to talk guys out of it, to be honest with you. Because I just think, when you bring guys in here and your philosophy is till graduation do we part, and you're not going to go and recruit junior college players, and you're not going to go and recruit the portal every year, and hope we never have to get to there, but who knows? You need to be right. You need to be right, as opposed to, come here, we can't play, well, let's move on. And we're not ever going to bat 1,000, but I think we've been pretty good, with that philosophy. And and Tony just, again, we're never taking a bunch of guys. I mean, you're talking on a big year, we're going to take 2 at his position. And we're at a point now in our program where a lot of kids want to come. So we're not just trying to get guys, we want to get the right guys. And and then again, he wants to get guys that fit, guys that are fun to coach, this is a hard deal. And it's a lot more fun when you can coach guys that love ball, that love the weight room, that value education, that want to be coached, that want to be empowered, that want to grow as a man, and so we're looking for all of these intangibles. It's easy to see a guy catch it and run it and all that stuff, but it takes a whole lot more than that to win consistently. You can have a good team, every now and then, but to really have sustained success, it always comes down to the people.
Do you generally notice what you mentioned about waiting guys to develop as high schoolers, that then correlates into the guys who develop on your front row in this room by waiting them out, getting them more mature?
Yeah, absolutely, because the guys that come here, they really want to be here. And, we're probably one of the slowest schools to offer, or maybe not, that's not the right word. Maybe we have the fewest offers. We just don't make a lot of offers because we want to be patient, and we want to give kids time. We don't want them to feel rushed. We want to give them time. There comes a point somewhere in the recruiting process where sometimes you get pinched on your numbers because maybe you've offered 5 or 6 guys and you're going to take 1 or 2 spots, and you can fill up. But we know that a lot of kids want to come see Clemson, and we also know when they come they're going to like it the majority of the time. And so we just try not to cast a big wide net. We try to be very specific and really identify the qualities that we're looking for. And because again, there's a lot of good players, but good players that really want discipline and accountability and education and family and all this, then the pool gets smaller. And so that's the pool we want to be in.
Tag on to that, you struck gold with a few late acquisitions over the last 3 recruiting classes: Kayvon Wallace, Travis, Lyn-J, those guys. How do you factor in the decision-making process with such a small window?
Yeah, well, I think that's an encouragement and it's what I'm always beating the drum by. Slow down. All right, if some sophomore gets offended because we don't offer him a scholarship, well, great, let him go somewhere else. I don't care. And I know coaches get pressure on them with media and high school coaches, and I'll be the bad guy, because coaches may be gone. Some of these coaches may leave, and then I'm going to be stuck with them. That's why when we have an opening here, nobody hires a coach but me. Nobody hires anybody but me. Because what if that guy leaves and they don't take that guy with them? We don't operate that way here. And then again, that's my point. I mean, we weren't recruiting DBs in 15 because I'm loyal to the guys here. I'm not ever going to tell a guy that he's got to leave because he's not a good enough player. We signed him. It's till graduation do we part. Now, if he's a turd and he don't want to go to class, he's a bad effort guy, or he breaks rules, that's a whole different deal. You're not entitled to be here. It's a privilege. And that's my point, is what you just said. I mean, 2015, we're not recruiting DBs because I'm counting all them guys to come back. Because they hadn't told me they're leaving, and I don't want them. I don't want them to feel pressured to have to leave. Hey, I want you back, so I'm saving your scholarship. I'm glad I kept them for Christian and Cleveland and Austin, and I'm glad I didn't just go oversign and say, oh, well, these guys are going to leave. Let me go sign. No, I didn't do that. I'm like, no, I'm counting on them coming back until they tell me different. That's because that's my responsibility to them. I just don't think that's right. Now sometimes a guy will tell you straight up early, like Isaiah. Like, hey, coach, I'm going to graduate in December, and I know I got another year, but hey, that's great. No problem with that. And we're all on the same page. And I can go recruit, but it's not going to be because of me going to. Or sometimes maybe I got a guy on scholarship that's not quite as good as we want him to. But he's a great kid. He does everything. Hey, that's on us. It's on us. So it's just what I believe in. And then I always try to save a couple for some of our walk-ons, that deserve it, that earned it, that help our team. So that's how I manage the roster. But that year in 15, I had no idea those guys were leaving. There's speculation, but I didn't know. And then all of a sudden the game's over. I got TJ Green calling me. Hey, I'm going pro. What? McKenzie, hey, coach, love you. I'm going pro. J-Ron, hey, I'm going pro. Travis Blanks, I'm graduated. I got my math. I'm going pro. I'm going to try the – I'm like, okay. Well, boys, we got 3 weeks. We're in the DB business. Literally. I never heard of Isaiah Simmons until, 10 days before signing day. Didn't know who he was. So we're scrambling around and we're trying to find guys. There's good players out there. There's good players out there. And guys develop. There's guys like Kayvon. How many offers did Kayvon have as a junior? Probably not many. And his senior year, he blew up. And all of a sudden, you know, we get on this Kayvon Wallace guy. This guy's going to be a pro and a heck of a player and a leader. He's a captain this week. Isaiah, he's getting ready to go to, I think, no way they were going to play him at wide out at Nebraska. Apparently that's what he was going to be, but they'd have moved him quick. He's not a wide out, but and then I think Michigan might have been his other, but he wasn't. We weren't on his radar. But that also goes to show the power of our brand. You know, we pick up the phone and we're like, hey, you know, would you be interested in taking a visit? And if so, I'll come out there and we sit down with your family. Let's talk and see what kind of fit it is. And he ended up coming. Kayvon, and then I went back to Nolan Turner's film. I called Buddy Anderson at Vestavia because we weren't recruiting Nolan because we didn't have a scholarship. You know, I told him a while back that he could walk on, and I went back and looked at his tape, and I'm going, man. And I'm trying not to be biased because obviously I love the kid, I love the family, and I got a history there, and I'm like, you know, God worked that out. And I mean, because we didn't have a spot for Nolan. And I called Buddy Anderson, who's been there for 50 years at Vestavia High School, was coaching there when I was playing against Vestavia. And I just said, Buddy, I need your honest. And he's like, Coach, he's as good a football player as I've ever had at Vestavia. And they've had 1 million of them. He goes, and I can't understand why he's not being recruited. And I think Alabama had offered him a walk-on spot as well. And so I took the tape to Brent. Hey, what do you think about this guy? You know, and he's like, man, this guy can play. Where's he at? And I'm like, that's all I need to know. And so went from there. And Nolan Turner he's been a MVP candidate in the last 2 games for us. He's a baller. He's a football player. How about T.J. Green? I mean, we got T.J. Green. Robbie Caldwell found him like literally a week before signing day. He was running a triple option. He's from Sylacauga, Alabama. He's 45 minutes from Auburn. He didn't have any. He was going to UAB. That's where T.J. Green was going. Blazers. And we're watching the tape. We're like, this guy's an athlete. Next thing you know, he comes in here. He comes to Clemson. Leaves after his 3rd year and goes second round. So it's a developmental game, and it just, you know, I'm always trying to slow it down. I'm not trying to win any recruiting wars and all that stuff. If it happens, great. So we can have the number 1 group. But that's not ever my goal. My goal is to get the right people, and because people win.
All right, we'll conclude with that. Thank
All
you,
right,
Coach.
Appreciate it.